So what else? What other ideas, like, have you guys, I want to hear.
I'll actually have a question, sort of follow-up question that stems from what we talked about. At some point, each of you had to start capturing value or are about to capture value from this business and finding a way to ask for that value and set your price. And you have to do that in coaching. You have to do that in the videos you're making. You have to do that in your photography. I'm not quite sure how you do that, Ken, but how do you start to figure out what do you ask for so that you're making your money from what you're doing?
Yeah,
it's a good question.
Really good question.
Who would like to go first?
I can say what I did, which is not very creative. I had other friends who did it, who were doing consulting and contracting, and I just asked them, what rates do you charge? And I got a general ballpark or range, and then I just did the math myself. I said, I wanted to dedicate 20 hours a week to do this kind of work. If I get paid this rate, this is enough money. It's like I have a spreadsheet that I play with all the time. And just like Ryan, I did the expense thing too, which was challenge all the expenses, see what you can deal without. My wife thought I was crazy, but I called 7 or 8 various subscriptions that we had and try to cancel on the phone. And all of them try to lower your expense. They'll say, well, why don't you stay on a plan, and what if we reduce your rate by 50% on your cell phone, on your phone, a lot of different places. So you find money that way. But I just calculated what I needed to make to continue kind of the journey. That's how I approached
it. How I did it was I looked at the competition in my market, and so it's a lot of online research, and found out I just wanted to price myself in the middle, like not too low, not too high, and I thought that's a good way to start out. And so that's what I did the first year, and then I had a lot of business, to my surprise, so then I increased it the next year, thinking I don't want to be as busy, so I'd rather make more money per client. And then, and shockingly, that did well. And then now, I couldn't, so that after the second year, I couldn't take on that many clients, because I, at the time, had 2 kids. I'm like, I'm so busy, I had to actually turn away clients. So then this year, I raised it yet again. So it's kind of not super analytical, but I just want to get to a point. It's like supply and demand. Like as long as the supply is there, I want to increase my prices to get to a point where I'm comfortable, But to start out, I think that's really key. You don't want to price yourself too low, because I think it becomes harder to increase your prices, and not too high, because then you price yourself out of the market.
Yeah, similar industry standards for me. I kind of went the middle road, but I find there's one thing to know the prices, and it's the other thing to be able to ask, and that just for me has taken practice. The first time it was like $3,000. I don't make $3,000. And I've gotten a little bit better, but that's still part of my work. I've just been doing this for 6 months, so it's hard to sort of have that confidence where people just take what you say and okay, because your worth, and to be able to express that is something that I'm working on still.
So I had 2 pieces of my business, coaching and consulting, and I'm combining them more now. I would say with the consulting, I did more what Ken did, where I would sort of just get a general cost per hour, and just determine how much, same stuff really. Coaching was a lot more complicated for me. It's a lot more personal, first of all, so I had a lot more trouble asking people for money. I've tried hourly stuff, I've tried packages, I do monthly, I've tried, and I'm constantly testing stuff. So, let's see, when I start coaching, I actually started doing stuff for barter. And I know a lot of people say don't do that, but for me what was really important was to test out some things on people, and with coaching it's so personal, and so I just wanted to make sure that I was not screwing someone up. that I could actually do it, you know, and that they were getting value. So I was comfortable taking, you know, the first few people and actually trying either really low cost or exchanging, you know, in some way, you know, in exchange for testimonials and referrals and those sorts of things. And over time, I just started increasing it. And what I did is I actually felt I felt into it. And so I would, the last thing I would want is to sort of resent something, you know, like I asked too little. Or the last thing I want is to not feel good at all about asking too much. It's the same kind of thing. So what I did is kind of, each time I would say, okay, where do I start feeling kind of nauseous, you know, like too much? And where am I feeling like, I'm worth more? And so those are my boundaries. And then I went somewhere in the middle, and I just kind of, there was always sort of a feeling of, yeah, that sounds about right, you know, and then part of my a voice that was more the, you know, the perfectionist voice. You know, you're worth more than that, you know. But I would kind of settle into it and say, you know what, that for right now that feels right. And the way I see it is that, to me, money is just an exchange of energy. And so what you're doing is you're providing some kind of value to someone in the form of your energy, and they're getting something out of it in the form of energy. And so when I was pricing lower, I actually found that because my intention was about learning about myself and learning about how I coached and learning about the value actually that was coming out of it and the uniqueness out of it, I was getting so much back from them in terms of energy that, to me, that was payment, actually. So it wasn't just the money, it was actually, what am I learning about myself and how are they responding to me. So I constantly test. You know, I have different models of hourly stuff, which is more. If someone just wants to do one session, that'll be the highest price. If someone wants a full package, then I work it so that that's the lower, you know, estimate number of hours. That's the lowest probably hourly cost. And then there's a middle range, which is sort of a month. Sometimes people just like these monthly retainer kind of things, where I meet with them a few times a month, and I charge a flat rate with that. So it's not, they don't feel locked in for a 6-month thing, and they don't they don't want to just do one time, but you know, they kind of go month to month.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah. As well, some are larger corporations when I'm doing consulting, and some are solo entrepreneurs. So the pricing is going to be different for both of those, and so I have to make sure that I'm not treating everyone the same. But they're just totally different kinds of projects and totally different energy I'm providing too.
One other, the sense that somebody is not going to want to pay a lot. I've probably had 20 clients over the last 3 years, and I can kind of tell by their questions when they're hesitant to pay, and that's a big red flag for me. I will walk away from it if I feel they're going to be that way, because it's not going to be a good situation. They may say that, okay, let's start and work at this price, but they're going to scrutinize it all the time. So just know there's going to be a portion of the audience that you could have got work with, but you just want to stay away from. What I look for are newer things to market. So I'm into social marketing now because when you have something that is less defined and people don't know as much about, there's a premium they will pay for that type of service. So I will I try to stay in front of what's happening to learn about what's new out there. But that's particular to a consultant. You're looking for something areas that have not been as well defined.
I'm going to see if I understand your question. And I would love to hear your perspective too, because some of us are still building our own businesses. But one way to think about it is just the traditional sales funnel. So I have my premium offer, which is I could spend time with someone for about 6 months, maybe even a year, and we will uncover a really deep purpose, integrate that into a pretty solid brand strategy and a communication strategy. And then they actually step into life as an entrepreneur and work through all the fears and build a greater resilience, go out and speak about themselves and how to talk about themselves You know, so there's sort of like this, I would say, for whatever reason,